Hey everybody, how you doing? This is George Herrera with the Queens Home Team at Keller Williams Realty. Here today, dropping another aha of the week. So this week, what I'm going to be talking about is B3 two families. This isn't really a new learning lesson, but it's something that we just had reinforced recently. So when you see a two family, whether you're looking to buy or sell, and if you're a homeowner and you have a B3 two family, what that means here in New York City, B3, the tax classification, is a two family converted from a one family. So whenever you see B3, you usually can assume that originally it was built as a one family, and at some point it was either converted to a two family or it just began being used as a two family. So what happens? So the learning lesson is whenever you see a B3, you want to be very wary and you have to do some extra due diligence. Recently, a couple weeks ago, we met with a homeowner who has, for what he believes is a two family. He bought it as a two family, and he was able to close. He got his mortgage. It's rented out on the first two floors. When we go in there, we know that it's a two. We know that it's a B3, so we're already looking to see how it's functioning. It's functioning as a two family, but we can already see that it was originally a one family. You can usually tell. So this owner, whenever we take two B3 two family listings, or when we meet with homeowners, we always do a CO search, which is a certificate of occupancy search. We want to see, what does the certificate of occupancy say, because that's the only thing that determines the legal use of a building. So just to clarify that too, when you see B3 is Department of Finance. That's the tax classification. Okay, so just because you're being taxed as a two family doesn't mean that you have a legal two family. Okay, we've actually met with many homeowners. We've sold a lot of properties where it's a two family being taxed as a three family, or a three family being taxed as a four family. So the first thing you have to understand is that there's two different departments. Okay, you have the Department of Finance, which gives you your tax classification, and then you have Department of Buildings, who actually determines the legal use of a building, right? So Department of Buildings is the department that issues certificate of occupancies. So you could be getting taxed as an 8 family. If the Department of Buildings certificate of occupancy says 2 families, then the legal use of the building, it's a legal 2 family, right? So what happens with B3s is that at some point, so it was originally a 1 family, at some point maybe the owner started renting one of the floors, or even maybe renting the basement. At some point, Department of Finance started taxing them as a 2 family. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a legal 2 family. You have to look at the certificate of occupancy, and if that shows that it's 2 families, then it's a legal 2 family. If the certificate of occupancy says 1 family, then it's a legal 1 family. Now, if the property or the house was built before 1938, then there most likely is not a certificate of occupancy on file, and that's why we usually do CO searches whenever we meet with a homeowner for a B3 two family, someone who's classified as a B3, and if it was built before 1938, we always order a CO search. And what that does, it doesn't necessarily pull up a certificate of occupancy, because before 1938 there were no certificate of occupancies issued. So what it does is that the CO search tells us in 1938 what was that house being taxed as. So what was the tax classification in 1938? And so let's say, for example, we met, for example, the owner that we met with recently, he had a B3 two family in Woodhaven, no CO on file because it was built prior to 1938. So when we went over and did the CO search, when we got the results, it showed that in 1938, the house was taxed as a 1 family. So in 1938, the tax classification was a single family residence. What that means is that unless there's other documentation or a new certificate of occupancy issued between 1938 and now, converting it into a legal 2 family with a C of O showing it as a 2 family, unless there's documentation of that, then it is indeed a legal single family house. We actually went through this one time in the past where we were selling a property. This is in the beginning of our careers when you learn your lessons, and we saw that it was B3 2-family. We listed it as a 2-family. We were in contract. The buyer's attorney, which is what they usually do, any attorney that's doing their due diligence, a good buyer's attorney will order a CO search for the house. They ordered the CO search. When it came back, it showed that the house was originally a single family. It was just like the example I just mentioned. It was a single family house. So then our client ended up having to reduce the price by $100,000 in order to keep the deal moving forward and in order to close. Okay, because of this revelation. So if you have a B3 2-family and you're thinking of selling or you plan to sell, what you want to know is the legal use. So you do a CO search. First, you look for your certificate of occupancy. If you don't find anything there, if it's built before 1938, you would need to do a CO search and see what it was being taxed as prior to 1938 or in 1938. If it's being taxed as a 2-family 1938, then we go ahead and we sell it as a 2-family. But either way, you have to do this extra due diligence. And the other thing that you can request is a letter of no objection. So if you believe that it's a legal 2-family, there's no CO on file, you haven't run a CO search, but you believe that it is indeed a legal 2-family, then the other thing you can request is a letter of no objection from the city. So you can actually just Google letter of no objection NYC or DOB, and you'll be able to pull up the instructions on how to do that. And what that means is that the city comes and inspects your property, and then if they give you a letter of no objection, it's them saying we don't object to this property being classified as a 2-family house. So you still won't have a CO, but that letter of no objection is just as good as a CO in terms of when you go to sell. So those are some of the different options, but no matter what, whether you're looking to buy a property or sell a property, the most important thing to know is that if you see B3 as the tax classification, then you definitely want to make sure you do that extra due diligence to make sure you don't run into any crazy issues down the road when you're in contract to close. Okay, so hopefully that gives you some insight. I'm sure that probably sounds a little bit confusing, but if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us. We do this all the time for homeowners. We pull up CO searches. If you're a buyer looking to buy a B3, then you can always order a CO search through a title company. We have recommendations for that if you want to look into that. But regardless, hopefully this gives you at least a little bit of insight so that you proceed with caution when you see a property that the tax classification is a B3. Just know that that means extra due diligence to make sure that it is indeed a legal 2-family if that's what you're buying or selling it as. All right. Thanks for tuning in today. That's our AHA of the week this week. By the way, shameless plug here. So we actually just recorded a new podcast and we just dropped it on. It's called Real Talk with QHT. So you can search it, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, any of your streaming platforms. Just search Real Talk with QHT and you'll pull up our podcast talking about everything that's going on in the market right now. And then you can always visit our YouTube channel, Queens Home Team, just youtube.com/Queens Home Team, or just search Queens Home Team and you can subscribe to us there. All right, thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care. Have a great day.